you're staring at your screen, a small account. Maybe $50, maybe $100, maybe even less. And deep down in your brain a voice, can this really turn into something big? Now let me tell you something most people won't. Every professional trader you look up to today, they all started small. Yes, just small. No magic, no shortcuts, just a decision to take what they had and grow it. In this video, I'm not just going to show you how to trade a small account. I'm going to walk you through the real journey of turning that small balance into something powerful. The mindset shifts you need when every loss feels heavy. The strategies that actually work when your capital is limited. And the discipline required to survive and for you to grow. Because the truth is, small accounts never fail because of its size. They always fail because of emotions, impatience, and lack of direction. So now, if you've ever felt frustrated, stuck, or doubted whether your account is too small to succeed, this video is for you. And who knows, this small account you have right now, it might just be the beginning of something big. Let's be real for a second. The hardest part of trading isn't strategy, it's starting small. Because when your account is small, every single trade feels heavier. Every loss feels personal. And every win, it feels like it's not enough. You open your laptop, you look at your balance, and you start doing the math in your head. If I win this trade, I only make a few dollars. Is this even worth it? That right there is where most traders begin to lose the game before it even starts. Because they stop respecting the process. They start overtrading, forcing setups, increasing lot sizes too quickly, not because they have a plan, but because they're chasing a faster way out of being small. But here's the truth, nobody tells you. A small account is not a disadvantage. It's actually your training ground. This is where you build discipline when the stakes feel low. This is where you learn risk management without blowing thousands. This is where you develop patience, because you don't have the luxury to be careless. Think about it like this. If you can't grow $50 with discipline, what makes you think you can handle $5,000 or $50,000? The market doesn't reward size. It rewards consistency. And consistency is built in the moments when no one is watching. When your account is small, when your profits feel slow, and when quitting feels easier than continuing. This stage, this is where traders are made. Not when they're already profitable. Not when they're posting big wins. But right here, when they're struggling, learning, adjusting, and still choosing to show up. So instead of asking, how can I make this account bigger quickly? Start asking a better question. How can I become the kind of trader who deserves a bigger account? Because once you focus on that, everything changes. Your trades become more intentional. Your losses become lessons instead of frustration. And your growth? It becomes inevitable. This is the beginning of your journey. And trust me, every big account you've ever seen started exactly where you are right now. Let me show you exactly where most traders go wrong. It's not the market. It's not the strategy. And it's definitely not because their account is too small. It's because of how they behave when they see that small number on their screen. You see, when traders start with a small account, they come in with big expectations. They want fast results, fast growth, fast profits, and that's where the problem begins. Because instead of trading with patience, they start trading with pressure. Pressure to grow the account quickly, pressure to prove something, pressure to escape the feeling of being small. So what happens? They take trades that aren't even part of their plan. They enter the market out of boredom. They revenge trade after a loss. And the worst part? They increase their risk just to speed things up. It becomes less about smart decisions and more about emotional reactions. Let me ask you something. Have you ever taken a trade you knew you shouldn't take, but you did it anyway? That's not lack of knowledge. That's lack of control. And control is everything in trading. Because one thing you need to understand is this. A small account doesn't give you room for big mistakes. One bad trade with poor risk management can wipe out days and even weeks of progress. But here's the shift that separates struggling traders from growing traders. They stop trying to win big, and they start trying to lose small. They understand that survival comes first, because if you can protect your capital, you give yourself another chance, another trade, another opportunity to improve. This is where risk management becomes your best friend. Not exciting, not flashy, but powerful. Instead of risking 10%, 20%, or even more on a single trade, you learn to stay consistent. You keep your risk controlled. You accept small losses as part of the game. And slowly, something starts to change. You stop panicking. You stop forcing trades. You stop chasing the market. And for the first time, you start trading with clarity. Because the goal is not to turn your small account into a big one overnight. The goal is to become a trader who can survive long enough to grow. Because once you master that, growth is no longer luck. It becomes a system. Now here's the part most traders underestimate. It's not the big wins that grow your account. It's the small, consistent ones. But I know what you're thinking. Small wins? That's slow? Exactly. And that's why most people never make it. Because in a world where everyone is chasing fast money, very few are willing to master slow progress. Let me shift your perspective for a second. Imagine growing your account by just 2%, consistently. It doesn't sound exciting, right? But what if you could do that over and over again, without blowing your account, without emotional stress, without reckless decisions? That's where the magic happens. Because trading is not about hitting one lucky trade that changes everything. It's about stacking small wins while protecting your downside. You see, every time you take a clean setup, follow your rules and manage your risk properly, you're not just making money, you're building a repeatable process. And that process? That's what turns a small account into something bigger over time. But here's the challenge. Consistency is boring. There are days where nothing happens. Days where you don't trade. Days where your profit feels too small to even matter. And this is where most traders break. They get impatient. They start thinking, maybe I should just take one big trade. And just like that, they erase all their progress. Listen carefully. The market rewards discipline, not excitement. If your trading feels like a roller coaster, big highs, big lows, that's not growth. That's gambling. Real growth feels steady, controlled, almost predictable. And yes, it might feel slow in the beginning, but slow growth with consistency will always beat fast growth with chaos. So instead of focusing on how much you made today, start focusing on this. Did you follow your plan? Did you respect your risk? Did you stay disciplined even when emotions kicked in? Because if the answer is yes, then you're already winning, even if your account hasn't caught up yet. This is where everything starts to compound. Not just your money, but your confidence, your skill, and your identity as a trader. And once you reach that point, you're no longer chasing profits. You're executing a system that produces them. Let's be honest. Most traders don't lose because of bad strategies. They lose because of one decision they didn't control. Not the setup, not the market, themselves. You don't blow an account slowly. You blow it in a moment. A moment where you ignore your rules, increase your risk, or convince yourself this one will work. That's how it starts. And once emotions step in, logic steps out. Now you're not managing risk anymore. You're reacting. That's why small accounts disappear so fast. Not because they're small, but because they're treated like they don't matter. You take bigger risks, force trades, chase losses, and suddenly one mistake turns into a chain of mistakes, until there's nothing left. But here's what separates real traders from everyone else. They don't enter a trade hoping to win. They enter a trade already accepting the loss. That changes everything, because when you accept the loss first, you remove fear, you remove hesitation, you remove the need to be right. And when that happens, you stay in control. If the amount you're risking affects your emotions, then you're risking too much. Simple as that. Because the moment you feel pressure, you start making decisions you wouldn't normally make. Moving stops, closing early, overtrading. That's not strategy anymore. That's emotion taking control. And emotion is expensive. Here's the truth most people avoid. You don't grow your account by chasing wins. You grow it by surviving losses. Small losses, controlled losses, repeatable losses. Because if you can stay in the game long enough, you give yourself the chance to improve. And improvement is what builds consistency, not luck. So next time you're about to enter a trade, don't ask yourself, how much can I make? Ask yourself, if I'm wrong, am I still in control? Because traders who last aren't the ones who win big. They're the ones who stay disciplined when it matters most. At this point, something needs to change. Not your strategy, not your indicators, you. Because the biggest transformation in trading doesn't happen on your chart. It happens in your identity. Most traders are stuck because they still think like beginners. They hesitate on good setups. They chase bad ones. They doubt their system after one loss, and then break their rules after two. It's not because they don't know what to do. It's because they haven't become the kind of person who can consistently do it. Let me explain. There are two types of traders. The first one says, I hope this trade works. The second one says, I'll execute this trade based on my plan and accept whatever outcome comes. Same market, same setup, different identity. And that difference? That's everything. Because when you start identifying as a disciplined trader, your actions begin to align with that standard. You don't take random trades anymore, not because you can't, but because it no longer fits who you are. You don't over-risk, not because someone told you not to, but because you respect your capital. You don't panic after losses, because you understand the long game. This is where confidence is built. Not from winning every trade, but from knowing that no matter what happens, you'll stay consistent. But here's the hard truth. This identity shift doesn't happen overnight. It's built through repetition, through showing up even when you don't feel like it, through following your rules even when it's tempting to break them, through taking losses and still staying in control. Every disciplined action you take is a vote for the trader you want to become, and every emotional decision, that's a vote for the trader you're trying to leave behind. So the question is, who are you reinforcing right now? Because your results are not random. They're a reflection of your habits. If you keep acting like a gambler, you'll get inconsistent results. But if you start acting like a professional, even before your account shows it, your results will eventually catch up. This is where everything begins to feel different. You stop chasing the market. You stop needing every trade to win. You stop tying your emotions to your balance. And instead, you start operating with calm, clarity, and control. That's when you realize growing a small account was never just about money. It was about becoming someone capable of handling more. And once you become that person, a bigger account is no longer a dream. It's just the next step. Now let's talk about the next level. Because growing a small account is one thing, but turning it into something sustainable, something scalable, that's a completely different game. You see, a lot of traders can get lucky. They can flip a small account once, maybe even twice. But when it comes to doing it consistently, that's where most people fall apart. Why? Because they don't have a system. They rely on feelings, on random setups, on moments of confidence. And while that might work for a short time, it will never last. So if you're serious about turning your small account into something bigger, you need to start thinking differently. Not like someone trying to win trades, but like someone building a process, a system you can repeat, a structure you can trust, a plan you can follow, no matter what the market looks like. Because here's the truth. Your results will only ever be as consistent as your system. So what does that actually look like? It starts with clarity. You know exactly what kind of setups you take. When you trade, why you enter, where you exit, how much you risk. No guessing, no hesitation. Then comes execution. You follow your plan, not when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Even when you feel like skipping a trade. Even when you feel like doubling your risk. Even when your emotions are trying to take control. Because a real system doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on how you act. And then comes review. This is where growth happens. After your trades, you don't just move on. You analyze. What worked? What didn't? Did you follow your rules? Did you break them? Because every trade, win or loss, is data. And that data helps you refine your system. Stronger, sharper, more reliable. This is how you evolve. Not by chasing more trades, but by improving the quality of the ones you take. And here's the part most traders overlook. As your account grows, your system should grow with it. Because what works at $50 might not work the same way at $5,000. The psychology changes. The pressure increases. The decisions become heavier. But if your system is solid, it adapts. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you consistent. And most importantly, it keeps you in control. This is when trading starts to feel less like guessing and more like operating. You're no longer reacting to the market. You're executing within it. And that's the difference between someone who gets lucky and someone who builds something that lasts. Now let's bring everything together, because at the end of the day, this journey was never just about turning a small account into a big one. It was about building something deeper. Discipline, patience, control. The kind of traits that don't just change your trading. They change your life. You see, most people come into trading chasing freedom. Freedom from a job. Freedom from financial stress. Freedom to live life on their own terms. But what they don't realize is this: freedom is not something you get at the end. It's something you earn through discipline. Every time you follow your plan instead of your emotions, every time you accept a loss without breaking your rules, every time you choose consistency over shortcuts, you're building that freedom step by step. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no single trade that suddenly changes everything. It's built quietly. In the days where nothing exciting happens, in the moments where no one is watching, in the decisions where you could have taken the easy way out, but you didn't. That's the long game. And here's the truth most people avoid. The market will test you. It will test your patience when nothing is moving. It will test your discipline after a losing streak. It will test your emotions after a big win. And in those moments, who you've become as a trader will determine what happens next. Not your strategy, not your indicators. Because the market doesn't reward those who chase it. It rewards those who are prepared for it. So if you've made it this far in your journey, if you're still here, still learning, still trying to improve, you're already ahead of most people. You just don't see it yet. Because success in trading doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from hundreds of small, correct decisions stacked over time. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll open your account. And that small balance you once doubted, it's grown, not just in size, but in meaning, because it represents the discipline you built, the patience you developed, the person you became. And that's when you understand this was never just about money. It was about proving to yourself that you could do something difficult and stay consistent long enough to win. That's the real victory. And once you reach that point, there's no going back. So let me leave you with this. Right now, your account might be small. Your progress might feel slow. And sometimes, it might even feel like you're not getting anywhere. But what you don't see yet is who you're becoming in the process. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you're growing. Every time you follow your plan instead of chasing the market, you're improving. And every time you don't quit, even when it's hard, you're getting closer. Closer to consistency, closer to confidence, closer to becoming the trader you've been trying to be. This journey isn't easy, and it's not supposed to be. Because if it was easy, everyone would make it. But the ones who win, they're the ones who stay. They're the ones who keep showing up, even when the results aren't there yet. So if you're still here, still watching this, still learning, I want you to take that as a sign. You're on the right path. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you right now in your trading journey? Are you just starting with a small account? Or are you already seeing progress? Drop it in the comments. I read them and I want to know your story. And if this video helped you even a little bit, make sure to like it so more traders like you can find it. Share this with someone who's struggling right now, someone who needs to hear this message. And if you want more content that's real, honest, and actually helps you grow as a trader, hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. We're building something bigger here. Not just better traders, but stronger, more disciplined individuals. And trust me, if you stay consistent, stay patient, and stay focused, that small account you have today, it won't stay small forever.